joined on the program by one of the leaders of the students, Mr. Pedro Obi, joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Obi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, my pleasure. Bye.
So let's get straight to this particular. I'm sure that you would have seen the provisions of the one that I'm talking about the act that was repealed and now reenacted. Now that this has been signed into law, because there was a policy note that annotated a few things that I will speak to at some point in the program, if we have time, that had to be changed to reflect the will and the intention of the students. How has the student community, how have they received this particular news of this rearrangement or reenactment?
Okay. Of course, the student loan, when it was initially signed as of last year, June, there were so many issues with respect to the act. And we made mention of those obstacles that will be a block to accessing this loan. And good 18, it was taken into cognizance, and it was effected. Some of those things that we raised were effected in this repealed act. So I want to believe that, obviously, with what has been done so far, it will go a long way to ensure that the loan is accessible to those who actually needs it. Okay? So because one of those obstacles that we noticed as of that time, getting to do with having senior directors in civil service or what have you before you can be recommended to benefit from such a loan. So for me, and we raised our voices, and to the glory of God, it was held, and those issues were taken into cognizance in this particular repealed act. So I want to believe that what has been done so far will go a long way to ensure that there's accessibility. But this loan itself, we have also noticed one or two things with respect to this issue. As president of NANS, we have been following up, and we have our contact across board, hearing so many things with respect to the loan. And I will say that on the issue of accountability and oversight, the dead body with respect to this loan, and the impact on the educational sector generally. You see, on the dead body, obviously we know the level of unemployment as far as the country is concerned. In the course of our engagement with the fund management, we were told on how the repayment plan and the rest of it, 2 years post NYSC. And you and I know, as Nigerians who have been involved, we have been following up, we know what is happening. Some of my classmates in secondary school who have gone ahead to the university, polytechnics, and the rest of them, most of them at the end of the day today, they don't even have a job. More than 5 years, 6 years post NYSC. Okay? So when you say NYSC, 2 years post NYSC before you start repayment, are we saying that even if you are just hustling on your own, not even qualified to be called self-employment, and you are being paid whatever you are gaining, even as keke rider or whatever, in your account, and government is going to be taking those 10% or whatever the payment plan is going to be? These are the issues that I feel the federal government should also look at very critically, okay? Because we have looked at this thing holistically, and I want to use this opportunity to let federal government know that, see, repayment plan should be looked at very, very importantly, because you can't say somebody who have not given job. So it therefore takes us to the point where I would say there should be classification of employment status before somebody can be asked to start repaying this 2 years post NYSC. For instance, if you are employed in the federal government sector, the civil service, yes, you can start paying. If you are employed on the level of organized private sector, when I say organized private sector, we know you are working in Dangote and the rest of them, the banks and the rest of them, public, those kind of public settings, you can start paying 2 years post NYSC. But if you federal government have not given you a job, then you said somebody should be forced to start paying 2 years post NYSC. is something that personally, and as the leadership of NANS, will not accept that.
Mr. Obi,
so we are using this opportunity to...
Just a minute. I know that I've seen the policy notes of the presidency, which has to do with some of the things they are trying to change. There's a provision that has to do with a beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action. It looks like what you're complaining about has already been provided for.
Yes, you see, that is what I'm saying. But you know how this country, that is why we are saying it early enough. I am aware, but we are saying it early enough because we know what, for somebody to start applying for that, and at the end of the day, you say this was not approved and the rest of it. That is why we are using this early enough, so that it will not look as if when tomorrow comes, somebody will start applying for extension and the rest of them, stories will start coming up. And you will tell the person that after all, you are having money in your account and the rest of it. If the person at that level decides to pay on his own because just to take the burden of debt off him, fine and good. But that person in that status shouldn't be forced.
So are you saying, Mr. Obi, let me get it clear from you, because these are the concerns that students raise, like you, raise, that force the government to take a second look at the law. So in terms of income, what are you talking? Are you talking about there should be an amount that the student should be earning, or there should be what they call security of tenure or stability of a job before the government can start zooming in to get the repayment of that particular law? What exactly are you positing?
You got it right by saying the status, the stability of the employment. The stability of the employment is very, very important at this point. Okay, so that is why, for us, it will encourage the government to make jobs available for Nigerians. It will make jobs readily available, because if you don't provide job, you don't expect people that you have given loan to sponsor their education to make payment. And also on the institution side, the universities and the polytechnics, the colleges of education, who are going to be receiving this money. The federal government on its own should do everything possible to ensure that this is not an avenue for these people to start skyrocketing school fees. Because whether we like it or not, we can't say because federal government is going to be providing this amount of money for us in terms of loan, so therefore we give them the window to start increasing school fees as they like. Whether we like it or not, if it is 200,000 that you have borrowed, it is on you. The debt is on you. So therefore, we should also put a cap. We should be able to manage this, because as National Association of Nigerian Students will continue, will not take it lightly for any higher education institution or management of any institution to start skyrocketing fees on the basis of this loan. Okay, so we on that basis.
So, because as we're discussing, I'm looking at some of the policy notes that is reflective in that particular act that has now been reenacted. And one of the things that was missing was the fact that it wasn't body corporate. What that simply means in law is that it cannot be sued, or can it sue? So they've provided for, it has to be body corporate with perpetual succession and a common seal. That gives NANS and every other person who has access to this loan an opportunity to check the system to ensure that whoever is managing these funds does it within the ambit of the law. So as a student body, are you guys beginning to talk to yourself as to looking at the future and looking at what are the possible scenarios in terms of default and failures on the part of the operators and what to do about it in case it happens?
Now, that is accountability and oversight. The accountability part of it is that, yes, in the course of this, our engagement with the fund over time and ensuring that the whole thing suits and makes it more easily accessible, we made mention that as far as we are concerned, the entire process must be automated. Whatever it takes to ensure that there's little or minimal human intervention as far as the application and approval process is concerned, that is what we are in. Because, let me use this opportunity to make it abundantly clear to Nigerians. We are hearing of different people who Mr. President has already appointed to manage the affairs of the students, who are going around impersonating and carrying people in the name of student representative, because they are already going about promising people that are going to give them student loan and the rest of them. And that is why for us, as the student leaders, as National Assembly of Nigerian Students, we will be there to ensure, we will continue to monitor that the core mandate of NEF Fund must be protected, to ensure that this entire process is well protected, automated, with minimal or little human intervention.
Are you saying by extension, Mr. Obi, if I heard you correctly, Mr. Obi, is it that there's the NANS is a divided house already, even before this guy started?
NANS is not divided. When you say NANS is divided, what I'm saying in essence is that there is a chef for Sunday that the SSA to president on students, he has been going around promising people he's going to give them student loan and the rest of them. And that is why he's desperate.
Well, you're
drop names.
Mr. Obi, you're on a big platform, so when you make allegations, you have to substantiate it. Let's leave issues.
It's not allegations.
Let's go back to the issues. I don't want you to make allegations that you cannot defend. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't have a right to say what you have to say.
Of course.
All right.
Of course. We have, as NANS, this is an organization. This is a student union that is built on principle and ideology. So when we see things going wrongly, and that is why we are saying that the entire process must be automated. I am telling you of somebody, there's no water in my mouth. I am telling you of somebody who is going about promising people, and I'm telling President Tinubu that he should do everything possible to make sure that Ashe for Sunday does not
all right, Mr. Obi, Mr. Obi,
for the student community.
If you can hear me, I know you're one of the leaders of the student union or the student association. Have you had any information as to when this whole thing will start in terms of people beginning to access the funds? Because at the end of the day, the idea is that people that are not capable of paying their fees, because it's not just tuition, institutional fees, charges, upkeep, and all of that have now been integrated, even for vocational studies. When will it start? Have you heard anything from the government? Have they discussed anything with you guys?
The NEF Fund, we have been in touch with NEF Fund before now, and throughout the entire testing process, we have as organization, as NANS, we have contributed our quota, our part, to ensure that the entire process, in fact, to the extent that we have to get raw data from our students, volunteers, to ensure that these things are tested with raw data, okay, during the build-up of the website and the app, to ensure that this process is seamless. And I'm very sure that definitely, for now, we have not heard when the exact date that the whole thing is going to start. But even at that, federal government on its own is failing, because this whole thing has been promised for a very long time. Why did I say so? You see, most institutions have even done their first semester, and the question is, are we, in fact, maybe they are trying to just buy time or whatever, and maybe probably they are not ready, they are just trying to bamboozle everybody, you know, because I'm very much aware, and you are also aware, that most tertiary institutions, most universities are done with their first semester, and the moment that most institutions are done with their first semester, it also means that most of them have also paid their school fees. Okay, we have issues, we have crises during that period at Umudike, so many universities and polytechnics due to school fees issues and the rest. And those periods we were clamoring and crying that this loan that has been promised should come forth. But obviously, here we are. Today, we are already in April. Most schools are done with their first semester. In fact, as I'm talking to you, some are already resuming. Okay, so the question is, are we saying that this session, there is not going to be, the loan is not going to work for this section? Because that is what it obviously means. Because if you have paid, what are you going to do with it again for this section? Are we deliberately trying to make sure that we disenfranchise some people? Okay, so but by and large, the loan itself, NANS, there was never any time that NANS was not in support of the loan.
All right.
Okay, but with the I keep playing around it. But I can assure you and assure Nigerians that whatever it takes for us to stand to ensure that there's accountability and oversight as far the fund management and the fund disbursement application process is concerned, Pedro Chibuzobi, as the president of NANS, will do it with the leadership of the entire Nigerian student.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pedro Obi, NANS leader. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.